under Coach Schumann, we're not gonna dream. With Steve Cully's guidance, we'll take the lead. On the field, we're unstoppable, we're never beat. In the stands, the crowd's alive, cheering for UConn. They won't give up the fight. From the first pitch to the final out, we're Husky Hardball, we've got the power. Husky Hardball Uconn, let's hear it for the team. Under Coach Schumann, we're not gonna dream. With Steve Cully's guidance, we'll take the lead. On the field, we're unstoppable, we're never
All right, and here we are for Husky Hardball. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully, and with me, as always, the icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D'Ambrosia. Joe.
Steve, good morning. How are you? How was your weekend?
Oh, you know what? When it's Mother's Day weekend, there's nothing better. Nothing better than getting to spend time with your mother, who just adores you and loves having you around. So, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. And there she is. All right. So we had a big weekend for the Huskies. And as you predicted, Seton Hall, Villanova, the last two Big East series that we were going to have. And you said that we should not struggle with either team. And it turned out you were correct with Seton Hall.
Well, they struggled on Friday.
Yes, 4-3.
Friday was life or death.
Friday was crazy. I talked to my good friend Chris DeSitis, and I think he told me, because I was asking about Tyler Minnick, and he said Tyler Minnick came into pinch run and basically, won the game or scored a run. He stole two bases.
He stole one base.
He stole second base, right.
He stole a base, went to third on a throwing error, and then scored on Chase Taylor's safety squeeze. So even though Minnick can't swing a bat or play the field, he helped win the game with his legs.
I couldn't believe that when he told me. I didn't think that he was a runner. I didn't know that he could steal bases.
He's very fast. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Very
yeah.
fast.
So they absolutely did struggle. It was a really tight game. It was tied 3-3, and Seton Hall, they're 2-14 in the Big East, like you had said. So we came back several times, and it was our fifth Big East victory. And what's his name? Jackson Marshall had
fifth in a row.
Fifth in a row. Jackson Marshall had the team leading 14th home run of the season, and they said it was a 420-foot blast.
I watched it. He hammered
He drilled it. Yeah,
daylights out of it.
Was it as far as his blast from last weekend? You remember last weekend? You said
I think it was about as far.
Jesus, wow!
Yeah.
And Charlie West really stepped it up and pitched well. I think he went 7 innings, and didn't do too bad. And is your starter?
Well, he had 4 wild pitches, so that was.
That's what it was. Okay,
that's how they scored.
Yes,
a couple of runs. I mean, and look, UConn only had 4 hits.
Yes,
yeah. All they managed was 4 hits. They scored the 2 runs in the 5th to tie the game on an error, a ground out.
Right.
And then in the 7th, they got the walk. Minnick did his damage as a pinch runner.
Correct.
Chase Taylor squeezed him home, and then
Paxton Myers
coming in to pitch the final 3 innings. Gave up 3 hits, but didn't walk anybody. Struck out 2 to get the save. And for UConn, it was a good start to the weekend.
Yeah. I was going to ask, because Chris had said this, the safety squeeze, that is definitely a risky move. Why do you think he was prompted to do that? Just because they weren't hitting the ball, just taking a chance at it?
Well, because they weren't. And a
And
safety squeeze is much different than a suicide squeeze.
oh, okay.
He
I'm sorry.
wasn't
That's what I was thinking.
Minnick wasn't running before the ball was pitched. Minnick was running once the ball
Okay.
was put down. He had a good sized lead off third, and then he was able to beat the throw to the plate. There's a big difference between the safety squeeze and the
And the
suicide
suicide
squeeze,
squeeze,
and
and they steal.
that's how they were able to win. And yes, I think that's exactly what Jimmy was thinking. Because as I said, they only had 4 hits. They
Yeah.
had the Marshall home run and 3 other hits. The kid for Seton Hall pitched a hell of a game. He got betrayed by his defense in the fifth when UConn tied the game. So, the team might have a crappy record, Steve, but as you know,
No,
all you need is somebody to be on their game pitching wise, and it can make a 2-14 team look like a 14-2 team.
exactly. I mean, and that's what you had said about East Tennessee State, just the way they were defensively.
Well,
The
but
way
they were a
they
good,
fielded
but
the
they
ball.
were a good.
They were
team.
good. Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
There's no comparison between
No.
them and Seton Hall.
No, you're right. I mean, their pitcher went 6 1/3 with 4 strikeouts. He walked 2, and Charlie West, he gave up 7 hits and 3 runs, 3 earned runs, and Paxton Myers closed it out. I mean, you're right. It was really a gutsy move to go with the squeeze and putting Tyler Minnick in to run. I mean, that's what I never expected him to be that savvy as a base runner, but that's really what got the job done. And it was
But he that is who he is, Steve. That's the kind of runner
he's just that great of an athlete. Oh, because he's an outfielder.
He's probably their best base runner.
Yeah.
So putting him in that situation is not like it's not like you put Marshall or Delana in the pinch run. He put Tyler Minnick in the pinch run.
Because he typically plays in the outfield, so
right, yep.
that shows his athleticism, and it's a shame that he's injured. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. The other run was in the 5th, and that was because Chase Taylor reached on an error, and Cancel advanced to third, and Jameson scored, and that was unearned. And with Minnick especially. Chase Taylor reached on a fielder's choice, and then there was the sacrifice bunt. Minnick scores in the 7th. We take the lead 4-3 and close it out. And the only thing that I was talking with Chris about is we have seen them inconsistent and lose games late. At least here, they were able to pull it out late and get the job done pitching, shut the door. Paxton Myers walked away with the save. Charlie West got the start. So that was a nice way to start the weekend. I was just curious. I didn't look at the schedule. Did they have a midweek game?
No, because it was exam week.
It was exam week. Okay.
They never play a midweek game during exam week.
So Saturday happened, and they won 13-1. That was really UConn coming alive with 13 runs on 20 hits. It was good to see what they're capable of, and they had the majority of them in the 5th inning. So this is the game that they said clinched them a berth in the Big East tournament, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it was good to see Maddox Delana. He had a solo home run. And then we had 3 runs in the 2nd. Wow. And then a pair of 2-out singles from Chase Taylor and Peyton Jameson. And then Jackson Marshall, again, 2 doubles. Nader Wachter had an RBI double. Palomani had a 2-run single. Chase Taylor and Anthony Belisaro all had RBIs. And again, the pitching, Charlie Hale got his 7th win on the year, and I believe he is the team leader in victories. But it was just good to see.
Well, you're burying the lead. You're burying the lead here. Suki had to leave the game because
he got injured. Yes, he got injured. Yes,
that's why Charlie Hale got the win.
That's
because
right.
Suki had to leave after 2 1/3 innings. I understand they don't think it's serious. They don't think it's long term.
Right.
They'll know better. They'll know better today or tomorrow.
Right. Chris said it was more preventative, but yeah, that's right. He did get pulled. But yeah, Charlie Hale came in and went 5 2/3, pitched very well, and then they went to Garrett Garbinski. He hasn't had a ton of work. What do you know about him?
Not much.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been pretty much a midweek guy.
Yeah,
I don't. I mean, he
pitched
because
last week.
He pitched because it was 13-1. That's why.
Oh, okay. So that's why they didn't bother, wasting Shaw or anyone else. But again, I mean, it was great to see them play so well. Belisario, I mean, 3 for 6. Marshall, 4 for 6, 4 RBIs. And it's good to see Delana get back on track. He's been inconsistent all year.
I disagree with you, Steve. He's been on a steady rise over since the conference play started. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not, 2 years ago, he was voted preseason player of the year and got hurt.
Exactly.
Last year he got hurt. He's kind of had a star-crossed career up there. But I'm not surprised to see him doing so well because that's he came in as a hitter.
And he's playing out of position, as you said.
No, he's not playing out of position. That's his new position.
Well, I mean, you said
I didn't say he's playing out of position. He's not. He's now with third baseman.
Right, but I'm saying he didn't come in as a third baseman.
No, but people change positions in college. It's not.
Yes,
that's not unusual.
Yes, but this was a great win again, and securing a place in the Big East tournament. There were just a couple questions about it. So, because the conference is so small, how exactly does it work with the tournament?
4 teams, double elimination out in Mason, Ohio, starting a week from, I believe, Thursday, a week from this Thursday. It'll be St. John's, UConn, Xavier, and Creighton. We still don't know who's going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4.
So seeding
which is really all semantics at this point, because if you're a 3 seed, if you're the 2 seed, all it means is you have last at bats in the first game. If you're the 1 seed, it means you have last at bats in the first game. And you want to win the conference title. I mean, that's it's not going to get you a berth in the NCAA. The only team from the Big East that's going is going to be the winner of the tournament. But yeah, it's 4 teams. It's like exactly the same with softball, which UConn won.
Yes, I saw that.
Double elimination, and you want to get in that winner's bracket, win that Friday game, and then sit back and let 2 teams beat the crap out of each other in the second game on Friday, and hopefully they use up a lot of pitchers. This is where these tournaments, these 4-team tournaments that they're into after this weekend, be it the Big East, and if they're lucky enough to win it, the NCAA, it's about having enough pitching.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing. You've got to have your starters. It helps if you have 4 starters in case you do get knocked into the loser's bracket. And you've got to have 3-4 arms that you can depend on out of the bullpen.
And, I mean, that's the one thing I think that has been starting to come on. I mean, they've had solid pitching all year. They haven't always had the run support behind it. But I do think they have 4 quality starters, at least 3.
No, I'd say 4. I'd say Hale's a good. 4. I think Hale's a good starter.
I agree.
And then you've got Myers, you've got Shaw.
Yep.
Hamburger is a specialist against the.
He's the lefty, right?
Lefty pitching,
yep.
And then it'd be nice if you had one other guy. If you win the first 2 games, you still need to save Hale for a potential championship game if you lose that first game on
Right.
Saturday.
Okay.
So
So would they potentially start? Well, we'll talk about it after we go over the last game. So they closed out this series with a 7-3 sweep of Seton Hall, which was good to see again. They were excellent this game, and they got their 30th win on the year, 13-5 in the Big East. And Oliver Pudvar, the other lefty, got his 7th win of the season.
yeah, so that ties Hale for most wins on the team.
Correct. And this was the game that Shaw came in and he finished it out 3 innings of work and he got a save. Maddox Delana, again, he's rolling. He got the scoring going with a 2-out RBI single. And that was another thing that they had struggled with early on, hitting with runners in scoring position, hitting with 2 outs. And that has seemed to improve. They had 2 more runs in the 4th. Nader Wachter with a sac fly and Palomani with a 2-out RBI single. And that pushed the lead to 7-2. So that was a big win. And this was the 7th straight Big East contests and won 8 straight Big East road games, which I think is very impressive to go on the road and win in the conference. And they showed this 18-1 against Seton Hall since returning to the Big East in 2021.
Yeah, Seton Hall's not the team it was in earlier years. There's no question about, they're just not as good as they were. The program's fallen down a little bit, unfortunately, because there was a time that they were as dominant as anybody in the
Seton Hall.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh wow. So UConn won their 30th game of the year. Where does that put Coach Penders in the realms of UConn coaches overall? I mean, he's reached the 30-win mark again, the 20th time in 23 seasons. I mean, that's really impressive.
He reached the 800-win plateau, although, as he texted to me, he said he knows the one record that he has that won't be record is most losses as well, but that's just Jimmy's nature. Look, I think to keep him here, he's had chances to go elsewhere to bigger schools, but he's a UConn guy, 94 graduate, was an assistant coach under the beloved Coach Baylock before he took over the head coaching duties. He doesn't get the publicity of earlier Oriema or some of the Nancy Stevens, people like that, but he's right up there. He's right up there. He's a UConn legend. He's become that. And the fact that the staff has been the same staff for, I believe it's 15 years now. Chris Podeswa, who also played at UConn, has been with him since the start. And then Josh McDonald and Jeff Horrigan, who played for Jimmy in the 2000s, have been on the staff since, I think, 2012 was when they came in. So there's continuity there, and you don't see that anywhere else where the staff stays together like that.
All right. We have quite the large audience. So I had wanted somebody asked, what do you think about the new NCAA rule? I believe we talked a little bit about it last week. The 5 years to play 5 years. And how is a rule like that, do you see it affecting baseball in particular?
Oh, I think kids come in as a freshman, and they might be good players moving forward, but you want to redshirt them a year. The problem with that is that if they redshirt a year, maybe some other school that recruited comes in and tries to poach them away. There's speed bumps in all this new hocus pocus with 5-and-5 and NIL and the transfer portal. But I think it's good. I think 5 years gives you a redshirt year, allows for an injury year.
Right.
So I like it. I think it's a good rule. Um, I still don't like kids transferring in the conference.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
either.
that's a bit. Now it helps softball because Jessica Walter, who was the most outstanding player of the Big East tournament, the pitcher, came here for her grad year. See, this is a different story. Let me correct that. She came here for her grad
Yeah,
year.
she did 4 years at
She did 4 years at Providence. But kids who were freshmen, sophomores, and juniors who transfer in the conference, I'm not in love with that.
no, I don't think anyone is. And they're pushing to put in some more legislation. But again, I just think all this is going to be challenged in court. It's also the age rule too. So your clock starts whenever you finish high school. So if you graduate at 18 or 19, you have 5 years to play 5 years. So that eliminates, the 25 and 26-year-old kids from playing. Do you see potential for kids to actually play 5 years in
I don't.
baseball?
Well, I don't think you can play 5 years. I think you can. I think you have 5 years to complete your eligibility. I think once you get to the, I don't think it's for. I don't think you can. I don't. The way I understand it, and I could be dead wrong,
Oh,
is I don't see it as being. You can play for 5 years. I think it's five. I
okay.
think it's you have 5 years to complete your eligibility, and eligibility is 4 years. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be. It's happened once or
Okay.
twice, not recently, but
No, I mean that would make sense because I know they were trying to restrict the ages because they didn't want the older kids playing. So it's 5 and 5 rule establishing 5 year eligibility window starting after is designed to simplify.
right. That's the eligibility window. It doesn't say you can play for 5 years. It says you're eligible for 5 years.
Right. Okay. So yeah, the 5 year clock begins after high school or the 19th birthday, whichever comes first. It eliminates red shirts, medical waivers to curb legal disputes. It replaces it with a 5 year window. So they're starting it this year. The only exceptions are for pregnancy, military service, and the Mormons for the religious missions.
Makes sense.
So, yeah. So that could bring some stability, but they do think it's going to create legal issues, especially with medical hardships. And the NCAA had made the ruling that if you go to junior college, it doesn't technically count. So I don't know how they're going to handle that, but it's interesting to see because I know St. John's brought in a top basketball transfer, like you had said. They got some guys from overseas, and they're going to be 25 after this year. So they're saying that he's only going to end up with 1 year of eligibility, which obviously disappointed Coach Patino.
Well, but you
So,
know what though? It does. Maybe it did, Steve. But I think the other thing is that um, it's kind of like I don't know. You can only expect some of these kids to stay for a year anyways.
yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
that's what they plan for. So if they know ahead of time the kid's only going to be there for 1 year, well, they plan for that.
Yeah. Right. Right. I don't think they planned on it when they recruited him because then this rule was made, I believe, I think it was last week. But I know that because it's going into effect this year and it's not, players aren't grandfathered into it, um, except for like Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback at Ole Miss, who got his 6 year of eligibility. But I think this is huge because, as we've seen, transfers, are taking spots away from freshmen. You're seeing 30, 40 transfers for football. you're seeing, even UConn baseball, we had, I think, 20 transfers or at least 20 new faces.
Well, no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
It wasn't that high.
No, I'm not sure where you're getting that from, but that's not accurate. Maybe 20 new faces. Maybe 20 new faces to count freshmen.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean.
But yeah, regardless, I agree. You're right. But especially in football, we've seen the transfer portal just run wild, and a lot of freshmen have suffered because of it. And I think they made this rule to try to eliminate kids staying 45 years in college and allow for more freshman opportunities, which I think is big, because freshmen have been neglected, I guess, and not as recruited as hard because, like you said, if you can bring in a 21-year-old grown man to play, there's so much money on the line, they'll do it. So I think it's good for freshmen as well. So back to the Big East tournament. So basically, all the seeding determines is who's the home team and who's the visiting team. Correct?
All it does is determine the matchups for the first day.
Okay, the matchups, and then the top seed gets the bat last, right? They're basically the whole.
The number one seed bats last in 4 versus 1. The number 2 seed bats last in 2 versus 3.
Okay, so with us, do you think the seeding is going to determine? Because you had already mentioned, some of the pitchers, the seeding will determine who will be the starting pitcher for the first game?
No, I think it's going to be the guy who started this series opener all year, Charlie West.
They'll go with West, Pudvar.
They'll go with West, Suki, Pudvar, and then, if necessary, Hale.
Hale, okay. That's what I figured. And then you have Shaw, you have Myers out of the bullpen, and now you have Hamburger, which is good. And, I mean, they're hitting the ball well. What are your predictions?
Well, and they did this whole weekend without Cam Riggy.
I know. That's what I saw.
Who was ill? Well, you didn't mention
he was sick. He was sick.
He was ill. He didn't play. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I talked to Chris. He said he was sick, but yeah, he should be back and good to go. You're right. Now they did it without Cam, the freshman sensation. In Villanova, you mentioned, is one of the other teams that will take part. Villanova, are they traditionally a Big East power?
I don't know if power is the right word. They're better than they're usually better than they are this year. But they beat St. John's yesterday, and that helped UConn move into a tie for first with St. John's and Xavier. So
if we were to sweep Nova, would that put us in, depending on what St. John's does?
Well, Xavier's tied too. Xavier's at 13-5.
So right. Do you know what the tiebreaker rules are?
Well, if it's a 3-team tiebreaker, I'm sure it's you take the 3 teams and make them into a mini pod, and let's say UConn, went 2-1 against Xavier and 1-2 against St. John's, so they'd be 3-3. So it all depends on what Xavier and St. John's did against one another. Right? I mean,
how the seeding would go.
That would affect how the seeding would go. And it's a big thing, because if St. John's would have dropped to 3 and UConn was 2, St. John's beat UConn twice during the season. So
one of the other questions, how many teams make the NCAA tournament for baseball? I'm sorry.
Same as softball, 64.
64, okay.
16 regionals.
And it's regional, okay. So we would be obviously in the East region. Is that how?
No. It's regional hosts. You have 16 teams. You have 8 teams. The top 8 seeds, if they get through, would host the super regionals. That's the way. It's not regional. It's you could go to LA, you could go
Right.
to Florida, you could go to Oregon. Like in softball, UConn is going to Texas A&M.
Right. Is it seating similar to like basketball is?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You 1, 2, 3, 4, and the teams that struggle to get in are fourth seeds. I think if UConn gets in, they would be they're not going to drop to 4. They would be a 3 seed somewhere.
There would be a 3 seed, and we don't have any idea where we would go. But I mean, obviously, when this team is rolling, when this team's healthy, when they're batting well, producing runs, and the pitching is solid, they have momentum. I mean, even though they struggled a little bit last week against East Tennessee State, they could go, and keep rolling if they play well against Nova and go into the Big East tournament hot. I mean, that it's a long way to go, but they have the capability and potential, right, to win it all, to win the conference.
Oh, I think you definitely win the conference. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know in reality how far they could go in the NCAA's.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those years. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's hard to do it as a 3 seed, like in the D1 baseball, which is about as good a side as there is. Boston College is ranked 17th,
Oh,
so
wow.
they would be a 2 seed somewhere, which is the highest that they've been in a while. So
Oh,
and they
okay.
and they pair it up the 15 and the 16 seeds match up as 1, 2 in a bracket. The 14th and the 17th, just from looking at the projections from a couple weeks ago. So they have Xavier as a 3 seed. Well, they
Huh.
have him in with Texas, who's a 3,
Oh,
in Miami of Ohio, who's a 29, and Binghamton coming out of America East.
wow. And where's that played at?
Well, this one is projected for Austin, Texas. But again, it's just
Yeah.
a protection. It has no bearing on reality.
Right. Right. Wow. And is it single elimination in the
No, it's
tournament?
double elimination.
Okay, so it's double elimination too.
Right, which is why you
So
need
that's how. Wow.
as much pitching as you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I mean, if you end up in the losers bracket, yeah, you got to have everything at your disposal to keep it going. Um, so it's double elimination, and if you win out of your quadrant there, then is
Then
it
you
like
go
the
to the
same?
super regionals.
It's a super regionals. Okay.
Right, and that would be they would set those up beforehand as the let's just go with what they've got
Yeah.
for the top 16 seeds. You'd have the 1 seed would host the team that comes out of the 16th seeded super regional. The number 2 seed would host which team comes out of the 15th regional. So,
Okay. Okay. And they, that's right. Last year they missed it. And the year before, was that the year they went far to the World Series?
they haven't been to the World Series since
I'm
1979.
sorry. Was it 2 years ago they went pretty far though in the
Well, they've been to
NCAAs?
the super regionals 3 times, I think,
All
in the
right, that's what I was
last
thinking.
several years.
Okay, because that's what I remember. I remember watching them then. Um, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. What is your outlook? I mean, obviously, I can't predict baseball, but what do you think they will do against Villanova? I mean, they also have Northeastern again.
Which is a game to get people work.
Yeah,
You're not
right,
going to see any of your top pitchers. You might see a reliever in
right.
that. Jimmy could use a Myers or a Shaw. but he's not going to. I don't think he's going to use hail.
No.
The other thing to take into account, the two things that are toughest to predict are tournament fields and weather. And watching the weather
Oh,
this
yeah.
morning, it sounds like
Oh,
Thursday is going to be a washout.
it
So if you
is.
don't play on Thursday, then you're going to have to play a doubleheader either
Doubleheader.
Friday or Saturday. Saturday's not supposed to be awesome. You don't want to go through till Sunday, and what that does is that backs your pitching up for the Big East tournament. That has a
Right.
huge, these kids, these top
Big
three
implications.
starters, West and Suki and Pudvar, they pitch once a week,
They won't
and
have the rest.
they pitch on their day. For Charlie, it's Friday. For Caden, it's Saturday. For Oliver, it's Sunday. So
Right.
if you mess that up by a day or two, then you've got all sorts of chaos going into the Big East tournament.
Yeah, they would be really backed up, and they wouldn't have
So
the arms.
that's another thing to watch that you have to hope doesn't happen.
Is there any time off between the Big East tournament and the end of the after they finish with Nova, or they go
Well, they
right
start
into
on
it?
Wednesday at the Big East tournament. They start the season ends
Oh,
Saturday.
and they
The
go right
season
into
ends
it.
Saturday, and then they go to the Big East tournament on Wednesday.
Oh my God! Wow, I didn't know that was that fast. So yeah, you're right. If
Yeah,
this
no
if
rest
this
for the weary.
if this week gets screwed up, that is really going to throw them off for the Big East. So they got to hope that the weather turns out to be okay, and it is supposed to be cold and
Well,
supposed
cold.
to be
You can play through cold. You can't
right
play through.
rain.
You can't play through rain. At least you don't want to have to play through rain.
Right, exactly. And hopefully Cam Riggy is back, and the bats keep on hitting, and the pitchers stay healthy too, especially Suki, who got hurt. The other thing I had wanted to ask you was about the everyone's been talking about it. The NCAA tournament expanding to 76 teams.
Well, congratulations to the NCAA for screwing up the best sports event in the world.
Isn't that crazy? Like, why would you want to add teams? There's always maybe 2, 3, 4 teams that were on the cusp that could have been. They always have the last 4 out, but jumping that much, it just seems
It's a money grab.
like a money grab. Yeah,
I think it's stupid. And there's a cult of people out there, Steve, who think this is going to benefit mid majors. It's not going to benefit mid majors. It's going to benefit teams in the Power Four. I will say this: if you have a 76-team tournament, the Big East better be good enough to get more than 3 teams in.
Yes.
Let's put it that. Let's leave it at that. Right?
Yes.
They better be good enough to get more than 3 teams in. But it's going to mean like an Auburn this past year, who didn't deserve to go, despite all the bitching and moaning by Bruce Pearl. They would have gotten in. You look at the teams that were on the bubble this year, they'd all be in. They also have to find another site to host the first round games. The thing is, they're supposed to play, I think, 2 double headers of 3 games a night in Dayton, which is always a first round site. Now you need another first round site.
And then they were talking about how the winners from that game are going to be rushed out because they'll have to
No,
play
not
on
really. No, the Tuesday winners always play on Thursday. That's not a
Okay.
factor.
Okay.
That's not a factor at all. And the Wednesday play-in winners always play on Friday. So that's not a factor.
It's just the one extra game. And even since they've introduced the play-in game, which I think was the 2011 when they added the 4 teams, there's only been a couple that have gone past the first round, I believe.
Well, I think the VCU team that went to the Final Four is the one that
everyone thinks of.
Everybody thinks of when it comes to that, but no, normally not. No, I will. I'll give you this: that if you have mid majors if you have schools from a Power Four conference getting in, they have a better chance to spring a first round upset
Yes.
than a CCSU, a
Santa
Fairfield, a
Clara.
Quinnipiac.
Yeah.
No, Santa Clara is a good team.
Oh.
It's not. I wouldn't include Santa Clara in that.
Oh, okay. No, because I had read that this was the first year they advanced in a while. But no, I agree with you. It is designed for the power conferences,
Right.
and
Exactly.
everyone was saying, "Oh, it's great. There's going to be more Cinderellas, more mid majors," and
No,
no.
not in the least. No,
So
not in the least.
the other question had to do with the women's tournament, basically because kind of the same thing, but I mean, there's a lot of people don't believe there's 76 teams good enough
Count me in.
to fill that. There's like
Count me in on that group.
I mean, there's parity and improvement, but I mean, it's tough enough to find the 64, 68, 76. I mean, you're really going deep into the well for that.
Yeah, I just don't, but you have to because of Title IX. You can't
Yeah.
expand the men's
No,
tournament,
I
not
know.
expand the women. Neither of them should expand. They should
No,
stay
it
at
was
68.
It was stupid.
They should stay at 68.
It was stupid, and you're right. It's all about money, and then the news around here is Syracuse is playing Wake Forest at Toronto for 2027, and they took the game obviously for the money, to get the extra money. I just thought that was ridiculous. I know. Like Notre Dame's played in Ireland, and there's been other situations with teams.
Well, UConn played Kevin Ollie's first game as coach was at Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany against Michigan State. Oh yeah, that was quite the trip.
That would be wild. See, I don't have a problem with Europe. I just Canada, Toronto. I mean, just
but what's
Syracuse.
but what's the difference? I mean, whether it's Europe or whether it's Canada, I don't. To me, there's no difference.
Well, I think
and
the
UConn played a game up
it.
in Canada. UConn played an exhibition game in Canada a couple of years ago, so Aaliyah Edwards could have a home game. They played at the old Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
Okay. No, I mean, I just thought Toronto and the only reason I said Canada is because I don't think they appreciate football as much as they do over in Europe, right? Because I know Germany especially.
But you're talking basketball here, right?
No, it's football.
Oh, they're playing football. Well, I mean, yeah, football's. Oh, I thought it was basketball. I didn't realize it was football.
No,
yeah, I could see that. I mean, but they're, maybe they're trying to grow. Syracuse is trying to grow the Canadian market. I mean, it's not that far away.
No, it's not. It's not.
And there used to be a bowl. UConn played in the International Bowl in 2009.
Yeah, at the Rogers Center. Yeah, I remember that. They're playing on a soccer field, I believe. There's a MLS team up there, but that is where they're playing. So
they're not playing at Rogers Center?
No, they're not playing at the Rogers Center.
Huh.
They're playing at some soccer site. So that was just announced, and I thought that was a little out there. And I wanted to ask you just about one more thing.
Take your time.
So I know this isn't necessarily your forte, but everyone has been talking about it, and there's been kind of mixed reviews. What did you think about the NBA lottery selections? Because they're trying to obviously prevent tanking, and they, I don't think. I think the worst team should be drafting first. Otherwise, they're never going to get better. And tanking is
only if they know how to draft. We've had teams that have drafted
That's true
first.
too.
drafted bad players. So
that's 100% true.
yeah, I mean,
But
look, they're going to change it the rules next year,
right,
so that tanking's not allowed,
right,
um, and it's a fair thing. But as far as the draft lottery yesterday, I mean, the teams that lost were Indiana and Brooklyn. They both slid down.
right.
Indiana lost its protected pick,
Yeah,
so I forget who has the pick, but they'll pick fifth.
the Clippers.
Yeah, yeah. So the Clippers end up getting a fifth pick after they were a playing team this year, and the Nets, who are perennially sucky, will get the number 6 pick.
Yeah, and it was the Wizards that ended up with the first pick.
Right, and they
So
probably take AJ DeBanso, and then Utah with
yeah,
the second pick probably takes Darren Peterson from Kansas, who
Kansas.
UConn didn't play again because he was hurt at that time. And then I forget who the third team is, but the three team, they're going to get Cam Boozer.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good selection.
that's a good haul. And then what were your thoughts? The WNBA opened. Everyone was thrilled to see Paige play against Caitlin in the season opener. Did you have any thoughts about that?
None.
Yeah,
Game 1 of 1,000.
yeah. No, I know.
And good for Paige and AZ that they won. AZ didn't, from what I read about the game, AZ did hardly
No,
anything. But Paige had a strong game. Um, that there's, and I love Paige. I think Paige is great. And she was phenomenal in her time at UConn. But this speculation that she'd be worth more to a WNBA franchise than Caitlin Clark is purely whimsical.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. Caitlin Clark generates a ton of revenue in so many different ways, but it was fun to see them on the court, and after a tumultuous off season.
Yes, exactly. Good way to put it. It
Very
was
tumultuous.
tumultuous.
I'm surprised the commissioner still has a job. And
Well,
then,
but they're playing. That's the thing. I mean,
yeah,
season
they
started
got it
on
done.
time. They didn't miss anything.
And
And
then,
it's a bittersweet year in Connecticut since the sun is bailing out to
yeah,
Houston, which is understandable. I mean, look, the Mohegan tribe did a great job for as long as they could, but it's not a destination for young women.
no,
Um, there's not a lot to do in the area.
not in
Um,
Uncasville.
not Neon Uncasville, as my friend Mike DeMoro from the Day calls it. And they don't have the training facilities that you need in the
No,
WNBA now. You know,
no,
so
no.
it's kind of I think the idea that the team is branding this as their sunset season is pretty horseshit,
It's awful.
right? I think
That's
that's pretty.
awful.
I think that's pretty brutal. I mean, why don't you rub the fans' noses in it? It's the
That's
sunset season. Come on, who came?
that's
Who's the
horrible.
genius? Who's the marketing genius who came up with that idea?
Yeah, it's like let's tell people not to come to our games. I mean
Oh,
that's ridiculous.
I think they'll draw.
No,
I don't
people
think
still support them. Yeah, you're right.
right, and especially because people will come to see Stewie or Katie Lou
Yes.
or Feast or Stephanie Page and Az. Just like they've come to see Maya and Tina and Diana and Sue back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. When they got to come
The
home.
Connecticut fans will turn out, and now they really have to turn out because they're not. They're probably not driving to New York, going to Brooklyn
No.
to watch a WNBA game.
No.
It's not the easiest place in the world to get to.
No. No. Maria was hoping that they would go to Boston. That's too bad that didn't happen. The last question we had to do with the Yankees. They
Their
apparently
bullpen
had
stinks. Their bullpen stinks. Other than
they had
Tim
a rough
Hill,
weekend.
other than Tim Hill and Brett Hedrick, there's nobody in. I don't trust David Bednar. I don't trust Fernando Cruz. I certainly don't trust Octavio Dotel. Jake Bird's pitched better. Look, they're a talented team. They're probably
Yeah.
going to win 90 games, 95 games. Tampa, you can't sleep on Tampa Bay because somehow every year
They
they
find a
keep
way.
doing it. But I think the Yankees have to get a couple arms in that bullpen. Now look, Rodon pitched yesterday for the first time. He was obviously rusty. Garrett Cole's coming back, so maybe you move Ryan Weathers in the bullpen. Maybe you move Will Warren into the bullpen. I don't know, but I think at the trade deadline you got to go out and get another bullpen arm and do better than you did last year when your haul was Bednar, who's okay. I mean, he coughed up
Yeah.
he coughed up the game walk-off homer to Bryce Terang yesterday. But
Yes.
I think of the three area baseball teams, the Yankees will by far be the best. I think
Yeah.
I think the Mets are.
Yeah.
You know what I like best about the Mets and their fans, and this is going to piss people off, but I could care. They act like they've been dominant they haven't won in 40 years.
1969.
Okay? 1986 is the last
Oh,
time they won.
86. I'm sorry.
And that's only because Bill Buckner let a ball go through his leg.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's true.
And
Right.
the Red Sox are in a total state of chaos.
Yeah, I know they are.
The
Woo Sox guy is there.
They have to figure out right. And everybody says he's going to be a good big league manager, but he's not Alex Cora.
No. They ran him off.
Well, they ran him and all the coaches off. They ran Pete.
That was crazy.
Our UConn guy off, the hitting coach. They ran off Jason Varitek, which I, of course, had no sympathy for. I'm still waiting for Varitek to take off his mask when he gets into a fight with Alex Rodriguez. That was a gutsy move on the captain's part.
Yeah, no, I remember that happening because I covered the Woo Sox, and Trey Morris was such a good guy, and I can't believe they just basically brought the whole coaching staff up there and fired Cora. So here you go, it's all yours. It's like,
well, there's just a personality conflict between him and Craig Breslow. Breslow's a big analytic. Everything's got to be analytics, and I think Cora has been around long enough, even though he's a little bit of a smug SOB, who only won once. In the years they didn't win, they didn't do great. No. Don't tell that to a Red Sox fan. All they'll say is, "Oh, we've won 3 World Championships since the Yankees have won the last one." Yeah, but the Yankees are in it every year. Red Sox aren't in it every year.
When they're bad, they're bad.
Yes, exactly. No, when they tank, they tank. They're They're like the Washington Wizards.
So yeah, that was so the Yankees ended up getting swept this weekend, correct?
Well, on Friday they faced. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, but this Jason Mizorowski throws his fastball. The slowest fastball he throws is 99 miles an hour.
Slowest
fastball. I mean, he has a change and a curve, but I'm not sure if this is right. It's probably not, but he had so many pitches over 100 miles an hour on Friday. Then Saturday in extra innings, the record belies what I'm going to say, but they stink with these extra inning rules. If they don't put up a bunch of runs, if they're the visiting team in the 10th, they always give up a run in the bottom of the 10th. And then yesterday it was Terang, who's one of the best players in the game, took Bednar deep for a walk-off. So not a great weekend, but they have a chance to make up for it in Baltimore, and then they host the Mets, or they go to the Mets for the first Subway Series this weekend.
We got a troublemaker coming on.
Who is it?
There he is.
Oh, here he is.
Look at him gracing us with his presence.
Better late than never, I guess.
As he loads his thing.
I just finished the other podcast. That's why
we're already 54 minutes.
It was
later.
so nice.
I figured you guys were done. I just wanted to say hi.
Hi.
Yes.
Great sweep, by the way. Great sweep for the Huskies.
Well, as Steve pointed out, that I said, when you play a team that's last in the conference, even though it's on the road, you've got to sweep. The fact that they didn't without maybe their second best hitter, definitely their second best hitter, in Cam Riggy, who was out all weekend with a stomach bug, and they lost Caden Suki to an injury 2 1/3 innings in to Saturday's game. Pretty good accomplishment to sweep the weekend. And now, as we also talked about, you got to hope weather isn't a factor this final weekend against Villanova, because you don't want games getting backed up, because that'll impact who you can pitch in the opening day of the Big East tournament.
Right.
You know, these
Okay.
kids are all on a schedule. I mean, really, the only one who isn't is Charlie Hale. But West pitches every Friday, and if the schedule holds true, you're going to ask him to pitch a day early. Suki, if he's available, pitches every Saturday. You want him to, or actually, the tournament begins on Wednesday, so you're really pushing these kids to,
That's
step
really
up a little
tight.
bit. It's why you need well, it's not tight. It's just it impacts the pitching when you're used to doing things one way,
What?
and then the tournament comes, and you have to kind of consolidate what you're going to do.
So
Absolutely.
with that's got to definitely affect the rotation for who they'll use against Villanova, right?
No,
For
no,
the
you
starters,
no,
you think
no,
they'll
because
keep it
you
the
want to
same?
win the conference. You want to be the top seed. No, they're not
Right.
going to.
Okay.
Steve, the one thing about baseball is that, and softball is this way to a degree with the everyday lineup. The same 8 players play all the time.
Right.
Okay, Jimmy could now he's moved some things around this year because of players not performing but there have been years that he could make up the lineup in typewriter at the start of the season, and it's not going to change very much. So the everyday players play all the time. It's the starting pitchers. If you're used to going every Friday, you have a routine. Now you're going to be asked to go on Wednesday. Well,
right.
that takes a couple of days out of that routine. You get an extra day because they play Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week if the weather holds up.
Right. Okay. Now I understand. Dave, the other thing, just before we go, we talked about the new NCAA rule, the 5 for 5. Do you understand that to be 5 years of eligibility, or it's just the clock 19 to, it
Both.
starts? Can they play
Both.
5 years?
Yes.
Oh, they can. So
Really?
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I had thought. So they eliminated redshirting. Basically, you can play all 5 years.
Correct.
Okay.
So you can play 5 years. So that what that'll do is that'll end the grad transfers. If you can play 5 years,
right.
Well, no, not necessarily, because if you go to Princeton, let's say, and you graduate.
You could still
but you're going to graduate in 4 years.
Right, and then you could grad transfer then.
And then
but what about a school like UConn?
No, UConn it might eliminate it. Yeah.
Right. If you graduate in 4 years, then do you get to go to a 5th year? I think there's a lot of.
I mean, you couldn't you go like most people do and take grad classes for a 5th year? Yeah, they could transfer and do that. But I'll check on it. And then we talked about the NCAA basketball tournament expanding to 76 teams.
I saw that. I think Gino said something about that, right? Didn't he say something about that?
I think everybody said something about it.
Oh,
well, yeah. Joe and I were saying that we just especially for
what is that? That's just for the money.
Of course it is, and it's the kiss ass on the Power Force conferences. Teams like poor little Auburn that didn't get in this year, or whoever else.
76. So what is it going to be? Another week?
There's going to be 2.
No, there's going to be. Well, not 2.
2 days of play-ins.
Well, there's always been 2 days of play-ins, but instead of
just a bunch of games. Yeah.
There's going to be. Let's just use the Hartford Civic Center, or the XL Center, as an example. So on Tuesday, you'll have 3 games in Dayton and 3 games at the XL Center, and those winners will go play in the field of 64 on Thursday. And then on Wednesday, you have 3 games in Dayton, 3 games in People's Bank Arena, and those 6 teams will advance and go play on Friday. Right. So that part of it doesn't change at all. It's just the number of games that are being played.
And they're, I believe they're 11 seeds, right? They would be playing for the 11th seed.
No, some would be playing for the 16.
Oh, they will be. Okay.
Yeah, It's all spread out. It's the 11, it's the 12. I think it's the 15 and the 16. Well, you have to.
Yeah.
Soon we'll just let all 300 teams in.
You know what? You might
It's
as
going to
well.
get to that. It's going to get to that. It's going to get to that anyway.
So, Shu, I just read. You're absolutely right. It says 5 seasons of competition.
Yeah.
Within 5 years. So that you know what else that's going to do, and nobody cares except stat nerds like me. That's going to change the record books. You can
big time. Wow.
You can throw for 3,000 yards a year for 5 years and be the all-time greatest quarterback in your school's history. You know?
Yeah, because players aren't leaving early anymore.
It's going to that's
wow. You're right.
That's totally going to change the potential for records, you know, in every sport.
It's also going to crush JUCO, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's what I was saying to Joe, because the NCAA ruled JUCO doesn't count towards your eligibility. You can go to JUCO because there's no NIL. That's how players got exemptions to play extra years.
Yeah, but I got overruled.
But
I think the clock,
and the clock starts. It says
at 19.
Yes,
right. It says immediately the academic year immediately after high school graduation or the 19th birthday, which is earlier. So you don't want to waste 2 years at a JUCO and then go play somewhere for 3 years.
Nope.
Right?
You're absolutely right.
I mean, I don't think so.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope. It's
and it also does, if you reclass, you truly are a younger kid in your grade. It's no longer of these kids who are reclassing that are already older in their grade. Those guys will be severely affected if they do that. So
they'll lose a year.
They'll actually use a year of college eligibility. Like, for example, there were kids that would be in New Jersey. You could turn 19. If you turn 19 after September 1, you could play high school football sports, right? So yes, which means those kids though that were doing that, let's say they're an October birthday and they did that, right? Those kids would lose a year now in college. So it makes no sense to do that. Now, let's say my son did it. My son's a June birthday. Okay,
he could do it.
He would be the June, July, or like the August are like the perfect birthdays where you would not lose any eligibility if you reclassed, because you would be you wouldn't be old for high school, but you would be you would end up being on a little bit the older side, but you wouldn't be old like a lot of these other guys are. So a lot of these kids in like Florida, where you could be 19, you could be 19 years 9 months and start high school, okay, and play. That's going to be gone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yep.
So you're not going to have 20-year-olds playing high school sports, you know. So because it makes no sense to do that anymore.
Right.
It makes no sense for them because it just cuts into their eligibility.
No.
So it really, I actually think it does a good, because the whole thing with the reclass, like the escalating age of the reclass, meaning they weren't true reclasses, they were actually like what I would call double reclasses, are really, I mean, that was getting crazy. And people were like, how is this freshman? This freshman's a superstar. Well, yeah, he's already 17.
He's 20, yeah.
Right. You know, he's the same age I was or you were as a senior. You know what I mean? So
that's how Tyler was. I mean, Tyler was Tyler King. He was a 21-year-old freshman.
Right. So that will eliminate
reclassing and PGing.
Right. So people will argue against it for that side. Still has to get, it's probably going to get sued at some point.
Oh, it'll get challenged. Yeah, it'll get challenged.
But I think that if they succeed with it, I do think it's a good thing, because now
it's going to help freshmen. It'll help freshmen get recruited.
If you're paying a player, you're not just paying him because he's older than everybody. Okay, you're paying a player because he truly is within the age range and is really good. It's not you're not paying a guy that's
He got a phone call.
That's 26 years old. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Like Figiano wouldn't have been able to play this year, turning 25.
Right, but right now we know about that, and we could say the negative part would be like, but 5 years from now, it just won't even be a thing. You know what I mean? You're not going to say, "Oh, this kid could have." There's no opportunity.
Right.
Just hope it doesn't get challenged.
So right now, people will point to, "Oh, this person was great. Pavia was great. He wouldn't have gotten a chance to play."
Yeah.
5 years, you won't even know about it because it won't matter. The whole thing will matriculate, and it'll just be those kids that are going into that system. Because if you're 26 years old, should you be taking away from the opportunity for a 22 or 23-year-old to make money because you're just older and are actually a man? I think no. That's what I think. You should go to the pros. If you're good enough to be a pro, go to the pros. If not, go get a job.
Yeah, no,
the other thing to wrap this up, because we gotta run here.
Yeah.
It's not official yet. They haven't.
No, it's not.
No, it has to be approved. Yeah.
Later this month there'll be more talks about it. So,
but I think it'll be good for freshmen.
I think it'll be passed. So
that's what I hope. I hope that more freshmen get opportunities instead of transfers.
I think a high school kid. I mean, still high school kid recruiting is never going to be the same because of transfers. But at least it gives them a fighting chance, the high school kid.
Right.
Right now, why would you even recruit a high school kid if you can get a 26-year-old?
No,
I mean,
they're not. No, they're not.
So.
All right. Well, we are going to wrap this up. So for the coach, Dave Schumann, the icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, Joe D. I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. We hope UConn does well this weekend against Nova, wrap up the Big East season, and do well in the tournament. We'll see what happens. So remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges.